Hi, my name is Katie Gaskell, and I'm going to be doing my video on the unrest in Rochester, New York of 1964. I've never learned about this or learned about it in any history class or anything, which is kind of shocking because it was not long ago at all, and I feel like that's something really important to learn. But this video begins when African Americans came into Rochester, New York, and they wanted to receive jobs and public housing, but they ended up living in really awful, um, kind of poverty filled areas. And that's kind of interesting to me because another narrative in this film talks about how prosperous and successful Rochester was at this time period, which obviously wasn't when people were living in such awful conditions. Another thing I found really interesting about this video was the two different kind of sides of it. I watched one side where an African American was talking about the struggles and hardships that not only themselves went through, but their communities, whether that be how awful their housing was. Like, for example, I saw that some places were infested with rats that would bite all the people in the housing, or they would try and receive kind of higher up jobs, but their files were thrown away just because of the color of their skin. Another side of this would be that the whites of this film were talking about how police brutality was not a thing and how it was untrue and how police were doing their job, but supposedly it was a really big issue back then. um, Also, Rochester was one of the last places to receive public housing, and I believe that if these people were given the opportunity to receive higher up jobs and they could provide for themselves and their families and help their kids get better educations, that they received jobs that obviously did not pay nearly as much. um, Overall, this kind of surprised me because Rochester is such a really big city, so I would think that these big businesses would want people to work for them, people who are educated and qualified, especially if they're educated. And it's really sad because these people were just wanting to work and give the best for their families, but were never given that opportunity or to receive the proper housing. A lot of families of 10 or more were put in really small apartments, which obviously probably did not work out well. But yeah, this whole film was really interesting, but it was really just sad, especially because I've never even learned about it, and it was in 1964, which is not long ago at all. But I still do believe that we have discrimination and racism in our world today, and I do hope that ends one day. Thank you for watching.